Ryan and Christian, live at Eastwood Mall. In just a little bit, we'll get back to our Week 2 picks. But right now, we'd like to welcome from the 360 Sports Network, James Dodson. How are you doing today? Is he there?
I'm waiting to see if he's there.
Hello?
Oh, James, how you doing?
I'm doing well. How about you?
Good. Sorry, we couldn't see on the screen to see if you were there, but we hear you now.
All right, good.
So we're here to talk some fantasy football with you guys every Thursday at this time. So it's Week 2. I want to throw some questions off you, so does Ryan, because we have our teams we're trying not to stink at. So hopefully you can help us out.
Hey, anything we can do to help you guys, that'd be awesome.
All right. You obviously can follow you guys at 360 Sports Network. You can get a link to that website right on ours. Go on there and check them out. You can send questions to them. They'll answer them, get you guys ready for fantasy football every week. I want to talk first of all with you about my tailback, LeGarrette Blount. Now, he did not, I would say, produce for me in any way, shape, or form Week 1. Now, I won, thank God, because I had Drew Brees and Matt Forte and Brian Urlacher. But I'm wondering with Blount, is this a one-week thing where I shouldn't panic, or is the offense changing in Tampa, and is he not going to get the carries?
I don't think you have to worry. A lot of people were expecting a big week from LeGarrette Blount because they were playing Detroit, the typical defense you want to have all your players against. Detroit, though, this year has been a powerhouse defense, and I was expecting them to have a big year. I wasn't expecting them to shut down Blount quite as much as they did, but no, I wouldn't worry. I think it's definitely a one-week ordeal. This week, they'll be back in action up in Minnesota, and I think that definitely keep an eye on him, but give him one more chance. If he stinks up again, you might want to bench him, and if he has 3 bad weeks in a row, and I think that's an indication, if that happens, that you might want to drop him because they are changing what they're doing down in Tampa Bay. But for now, I think you're safe.
And another problem I had, too, is I don't have a lot of running back depth. I mean, I have Woodhead on my bench. My problem with having a New England running back is to me anyway, there is no clear-cut number 1 tailback, so you're never sure to get a ton of carries, whether you have a Woodhead or you have a Jarvis Green-Ellis.
Yeah, and that is the problem with any New England running back. We've had that for years. I think the main thing you got to look at, though, Woodhead had twice as many carries and twice as many yards as Green-Ellis did. Seemed like Green-Ellis played the first couple series and 1 series later in the game, and that was it. The only good thing about that was that he gets the goal line carries and the touchdowns. Green-Ellis gets, that's about it. Danny Woodhead can get you a lot more carries, a lot more yards, and in PPR leagues especially, Danny Woodhead is a good pick. So keep him on your bench, and you never know. You're one injury away from Woodhead being in there every down.
It's true. We're talking to James Dodson from 360 Sports Network. If you want to see their website, 360sportsnetwork.blogspot.com. And James, I want to ask you, I got a wide receiver question, a little conundrum here. I have Vincent Jackson, who didn't do much last week, only got me about 2.5 points. He's at New England. And I have Julio Jones on the bench playing Philly, but at home. And I was wondering who you think I should start there.
Well, I would probably go Vincent Jackson just because they're playing New England. Yes, that sounds very wrong, but look how many yards Chad Henne put on New England last week. Now, I know it's a little different being up in Foxborough, but Vincent Jackson is just too good of a receiver, and Julio Jones has not proven anything to me yet, especially with how poorly Matt Ryan played last week against Chicago. I think you got to go with the experienced veteran in Vincent Jackson until Julio Jones can show me something.
And one more question. For my defense, I picked up Washington. They're at home against Arizona, and I believe I'm going to start them. How do you feel about that?
I like playing the matchups in defense, unless you have a top defense like, say, Pittsburgh.
I don't.
And even exactly. And even Pittsburgh messes up. I think they were actually the worst defense last week, and they're the rated number 1 overall for the league. So in that regard, look at matchups. And Arizona really didn't do anything flattering on offense last week, and that was against a Carolina team whose defense is less than spectacular. Washington really impressed me last week. I think they could be a very good play this week, for sure.
Yeah, there you go.
Now I want to talk to you. I want to go through positions, and I want to pick your brain. If you're that guy right now looking at the free agent wire, and you're saying to yourself, who's someone that's floating out there in most leagues, and I might want to grab and throw on my bench and save for a rainy day that might very well save my season. Is there a quarterback sitting out there in a lot of leagues that maybe not a lot of people had that they might want to get maybe stashed on their bench somewhere?
A couple good ones. Chad Henne, I don't know what to think yet. He had a great week one. I don't know if that was just a fluke or what, but he had a lot of yards. He's available in almost 80% of leagues that I've been looking at. 400 yards in week one, and including a couple touchdowns and a rushing touchdown against New England. Definitely something to keep your eye on. Another big one is Ryan Fitzpatrick, who was available in about 2/3 of leagues. For some reason, people just never give this guy credit. Last year, he was a fantasy stud late in the year because they were always throwing because Buffalo was always behind. Now they started throwing from the beginning of the game and absolutely demolished Kansas City last week. So I don't know if this could be a big thing coming, but I picked up Fitzpatrick this week as well in my league because I had injury concerns with Sam Bradford. I picked up Fitzpatrick, with confidence. I'm starting him without any doubt and any question in my mind right now.
What about someone like me who's a little shaky about my running back position? Is there a couple guys I might want to watch as far as running backs?
The biggest name that's available right now would be Darren Sproles, especially if you're in a PPR league. I was impressed with how many touches he was getting. He wasn't in there just on third downs. He was in there for a whole series at a time when they wanted to go with a quick up-tempo offense. So if you have PPR leagues or if you get points for any punt returns from Sproles, as we know he's good there, he's available in about 30% of leagues. Another idea, a lot of leagues have Ryan Grant for Green Bay being taken, but James Starks not as much. And I think that if possible, I'd love to have both of them on my team because, again, one injury away from them no longer splitting the workload. But I think James Starks down the stretch is going to be a big play because Ryan Grant just can't go through a year without getting injured. And he's impressed even in the limited action that he's gotten. But, yeah, it's amazing, though, that the depth of running back is not much this year. You're looking at the top projections for the week, and you have lower names like Beanie Wells, who's up near the top of the list, Jabba Best, Matt Forte, who wasn't supposed to be stud this year. So there's really no big-time surprises, but the big names aren't performing for you. So I know you want to get depth. There's really not much out there in a majority of the leagues.
Now, James, switching over to wide receiver real quick, I was looking over the list of free available wide receivers in my league, and I don't know if I kind of feel like I did this just to make a move. It could turn out big or nothing at all, so no harm. I didn't drop anybody significant, but I picked up Randall Cobb from Green Bay, who had 2 touchdowns, and we get return touchdowns in our league like most, and he did have a receiving touchdown, and I read that he's going to be a bigger part in Green Bay's offense. Do you think that was a good idea, or is there other wide receivers out there that I should have looked at?
Well, Randall Cobb is definitely a big pick, especially if you're getting the return touchdowns. That's going to be a great choice. I mean, I don't know if they'll ever decide to do any throwing plays with him like they did at Kentucky, but that's also another benefit of having somebody like Cobb out there. Do I think you're going to be getting 2 touchdown weeks every week from him? Absolutely not. But I don't think it's out of the question, especially, you're exactly right, they're talking about using him more in the offense. So I think Randall Cobb is definitely a good pick. The other guys I would have looked at would have been Robert Meacham or Jeffrey Henderson from New Orleans.
I have Meacham.
You have Meacham already? Good.
Yeah, I saw he's going to be the number 1 now, right?
Yeah, with Colston out, you're going to have big play opportunity out of any New Orleans receiver down there, especially Meacham and Henderson. Henderson's available in over 50% of the leagues right now, and in all honesty, he might be a better play than Meacham, just solely because everybody will start to sway towards Robert Meacham's side and leaves Henderson wide open. And obviously this means good things for Jimmy Graham as well.
All right, we are talking to James Dotson from the 360 Sports Network. Again, follow their website. Go to ours, WBBW.com. Follow the link. You can go check out their website, send them questions, anything fantasy football. I have one more question for you before we let you go here, and it's because I'm a Bears fan myself, and I watched what we did last week. Is Jay Cutler still too risky to have as a starting quarterback in a fantasy league, or do you think he can help you?
I've never been a Cutler fan, so I might be a little biased in this answer, but I don't trust him. He did very much impress me last week, and he's playing New Orleans this week, and we saw how well Green Bay moved the ball against him. So he's definitely not a bad play at all this week. Definitely a top 5, top 10 type quarterback for the week.
But do you see him as a starting fantasy quarterback?
I can see him being one, but I don't think in the long run he's the smartest play. I would, if you have Jay Cutler, I would hopefully you would have someone good or half decent middle range tier 2 type quarterback on your bench as well, because I can see Jay Cutler having those days where he just tries to force the ball in, and before you know it, he's got 4 interceptions and is on the bench and giving you negative points. So I think he could be good, but for the time being, play it safe. Definitely have somebody that you can go to on a rainy day.
I got you. Well, he's my backup to Drew Brees, so I'm in good shape.
You're in great shape in that regard.
All right, James. Well, thanks so much for calling in. We look forward to talking to you guys every Thursday throughout the season and updating us and telling us what's new in the world of fantasy football and helping us maybe win a couple games.
No, thank you very much. Come send our questions over to our website. You can follow us on Twitter at 3S Network, and we'd be more than happy to help anybody in their leagues. Any questions that they have, ad drop, or start and setting, whatever you guys need.
All right, thanks a lot. We appreciate the call. We'll talk to you guys next week, James.
Thank you very much, guys.
All right, that's the guys from the 360 Sports Network calling in. Always going to talk fantasy football with us every Thursday at this